Hello everyone, welcome to another session of Skill Matters for All. So in the first session for effective communication, I have spoken about 7 pillars of communication. 7 जो very important चीज़ें हैं जैसे कि listening, articulation, pronunciation, confidence, a lot of other things that we have discussed about. So today is the second session for that only, where I would be discussing about the articulation and pronunciation. And articulation and pronunciation is very important aspect of your communication with respect to the effectiveness of it, right? So before we proceed with the details further, it's very important for all of us to understand the basic of it. And the basic of it is all about the process of articulation. Now, ये जो process of articulation, the thing that we are talking about now, ये क्या है exactly? So this is all about the articulators that we have. Now, what do you understand by the word articulator? It's the organs which we use while producing a sound. For example, we have got upper teeth, lower teeth. We have got tongue. That tongue is also divided in 3 parts. The frontal part of it, that is called tip of the tongue, then middle of the tongue, and then the back of the tongue. Then we have the upper palate and lower palate, right? We have the sound box. There are sounds which are more dependent on the nasal cavity, right? So there are nasal sounds like na, ma. So all these upper teeth, lower teeth, tongue, sound box, nose. So everything is all together called articulators, which are also very important with respect to getting the pronunciation corrected. Okay, mostly we Indians make a lot of mistakes with respect to few sounds. For example, S with respect to the S, sh, j, and s. For example, case, cash, and casual. So these 3 sounds are similar but very different. So in case आप ये साउंड सही ढंग से बोल नहीं पाते हो या फिर प्रोड्यूस नहीं कर पाते हो, आपको ज़िंदगी में या फिर जब जो भी आपका जॉब लाइफ हो या फिर कोई भी प्रोफेशनल कमिटमेंट में आप जा रहे हो, तो उसमें जब आप बोलोगे तो उसमें आपको दिक्कत होगा. तो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस टू अंडरस्टैंड द बेसिक ऑफ इट, दैट इज द आर्टिकुलेशन प्रोसेस, राइट? आई विल बी टॉकिंग इन मोर डिटेल फॉर दैट. बट बिफोर वी प्रोसीड, do we all know that how many alphabets are there in English language? Is it 26? I don't think so. So English language has got only one alphabet. That is English alphabet, right? And that alphabet has 26 letters. It's like a garland, right? And the letters are the flowers. Okay, so we have 26 letters in one alphabet. That is the English alphabet. There are other languages also where more than one alphabet is there. But with respect to the English language, always remember it has got one alphabet. And also, with respect to the pronunciation part, we need to understand that just like we have 26 letters while with respect to the written English, but with respect to the verbal communication that we have got 44 sounds in total, right? Some of them are called vowel sounds, some of them are called consonant sounds, which I'm sure जब हम स्कूल में पढ़े हैं तो हम लोग को सिखाया गया है vowels है या फिर consonant है, A and B कहाँ पे फिट करना है, articles में हम लोग को vowels के सामने and डालना है, consonant के सामने A डालना है. ये सब चीज़ हम जब छोटे थे, जब स्कूल में थे तब पढ़े हैं या फिर हम लोग को सिखाया गया है. But the exact thing, the idea and the real purpose of it has been completely overlooked. सो ये चीज़ें हम लोग को बहुत याद रखना पड़ेगा और समझना भी पड़ेगा कि जो 44 साउंड्स है, ये जब वर्बल इंग्लिश, जब हम वर्बली कुछ बात करते हैं तो उस टाइम में ये 44 साउंड्स बहुत काम आएगा. इफ़ यू नो दोज, राइट? आई विल बी डेफिनेटली टॉकिंग अबाउट दोज इन डिटेल, बट फॉर नाउ we need to understand that there are 20 vowel sounds and 24 consonants. Now, what are those 20 vowel sounds? Those vowel sounds are also divided in or segregated in 2 parts. One is called monophthongs, that is the single sound, and one is called diphthong. And the rest of it, that's 24 in number, those are called consonants, right? And with respect to the articulation and pronunciation, we need to understand it's a combination of both. It's like you cannot just do away without the other, right? It's like complementary to each other, right? सो आई होप आज का जो शॉर्ट सेशन है तो ये आप लोगों को अच्छा लगा. इसके बाद हम और डिटेल में आर्टिकुलेशन और प्रोनाउंसिएशन के बारे में बात करेंगे. तो प्लीज़ कीप वॉचिंग स्किल मैटर्स. एज आई सेड, लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड द प्रोसीजर ऑफ आर्टिकुलेशन in a much better way or in a detailed manner, right? So as you can see, I've just tried to make a picture of some of the articulatory organs for your reference. इससे आपको शायद थोड़ा हेल्प होगा, आप इजीली समझ सकते हो. सो ये एक ह्यूमन फेस का जो एक मैंने पिक्चर बनाया है आप लोगों के लिए. तो इसमें आप देख सकते हो Okay, for example, this is the nasal cavity. I mean, here we have some inputs with respect to the articulation process. Upper teeth is there, lower teeth is there. Here we have the epiglottis, this position inside of it. We have now, if you get into the, the upper portion of the tongue, right? The upper portion of the tongue. So that surface has three parts for the articulation process. First is the alveolar ridge. So that is the adjoining area where the upper teeth meets the palate, the upper palate, right? Then we have the hard palate. If you put your finger inside your mouth, you would find that portion is a little hard. So that is called hard palate. And inside of it, of the upper portion, if you put another finger and just try and sense it, you'll find that is a softer part of it. So that is called soft palate. Now, why we are learning, I mean, all this, you might think this is absurd, why we are talking about all this. Are we becoming like a dentist or something? No, we are not, definitely. But always understand, कुछ भी आप जब बात करोगे, बहुत सारे ऐसे students, professionals या फिर presenters है जिन लोगों का pronunciation is a problem, right? If you are talking to the international standards and to better your overall communication, the way you are speaking, your pronunciation process has to improve anyhow. And the only way to improve it, to understand कि क्या क्या चीज़ आप यूज़ कर रहे हो, इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो जब आप कोई भी साउंड ला रहे हो, तो वो समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है. तभी आप जो प्रॉपर प्लेस से आपको साउंड निकालना है वो कर पाओगे. इसीलिए ये समझना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. जैसे कि टंग. नाउ टिप ऑफ द टंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. द टिप ऑफ द टंग, वी हैव three parts of it: tip, middle, and the back. So all this portion of the all the positioning of the articulators is very, very important. For example, this is pretty much it. Okay, we have the sound box also. There are other things also, but we don't need to get into that detail. If you at least have a clear understanding of this articulators, which I've briefed you about in the beginning of this session, upper lip, lower lip, upper teeth, lower teeth, all these things are very, very important for you to understand. Okay, now let us do a little bit of practice and try and understand how this works exactly. So for example, let us take example of three most difficult sounds, or three sounds where we make most number of mistakes, especially the Indians, right? First is sa sound, second is sh, and then the ja sound, right? So this just focus on the sounds. So with sa, what we have? Case, face, trace. With sh sound, maybe cash, posh, gosh. So with ja sound, maybe treasure, pleasure, and say casual. So let us understand how the articulation process works for these three sounds, which are mostly mispronounced, right? So for example, case, face, trace, the sa sound has to, that hissing sound, it's the hissing, this has to come clearly. Case, for all this sound, and how, just try and understand how I'm trying to produce the sound. Case, so the stream of air is coming from inside, and there is a friction which is happening between the alveolar ridge and your tip of the tongue, right? So that positioning of it is very, very important. It's face, so that hissing sound is there, that needs to come out. If you stop it, if suddenly if you stop it and make it sound like fess, then it won't come, right? So you need to be very, very attentive about these parts. Let's look at the next sound, that is sh. If you see cash, there is a blockage of it, but still there is a friction which is happening. If you just make it completely blocked like cash, then also the exact sound would not come. There is a blockage, the friction is happening still, but you need to understand how it is happening. So cash, posh, gosh, so the sound is coming from inside, the air is coming, and you need to put a blockage for it so that sh sound is coming. And mostly the middle of the tongue and to some extent the tip of the tongue is responsible for this particular sound. You need to utilize those portions of the articulator properly. This is also one of the most difficult and mispronounced sounds that we have. For example, treasure, pleasure, casual. So this ja sound, ja, it's it's the friction, it's the air is not completely blocked जब आप ये पास हो रहा है आपका हार्ट पैलेट और आपका जो मिडल ऑफ द टंग है उसके बीच से जब वो पास हो रहा है, ये आप ऐसे थियोरिटिकली आपको हम बता रहे हैं, हम so that you understand, you need to practice yourself. If you have any issue with respect to these kind of sounds, you need to practice it yourself. And one quick tip, one trick that will always help you is, is recording of it. As we all know, self-learning is the best way to learn anything if you know the process well. So if you can record while you are talking and then just listen to it for about a few seconds or a few minutes, you will get to understand where exactly you are making a mistake. As I said in the previous session, listening is the most important part of it, right? You must listen to a lot of English stuff. You can watch movies, you can, go through some English news channels. So these would always help you have your ear prepared. That is very, very important. Then only if you just record it and try and listen to it, you'll understand that you are making some kind of mistake, right? Now, apart from this, there is another way that can help you, with respect to your pronunciation, and on that, I'll definitely come up with a detailed session with some of the tongue twisters. So this is also one of the way. This is also one of the ways through which you can actually, better yourself with respect to your pronunciation and articulation. So, for example, let's take one example. It's a very common one. She sells sea shells on the seashore. I'm sure most of us have, heard about this, but still, if you see all the sh sounds, you have different sounds here. I mean, the sounds that you can create using S. So SH here, the sh sound is here, and then it's a hissing sound, cells, right? So she sells seashells on the seashore. There are multiple tongue twisters which are available. I'll definitely come up with a list of the tongue twisters which can help you out to get the pronunciations corrected, right? So this was just a try to give you a brief outlook so that you can understand how the articulation works and how you can improvise and improve yourself. In the next session, I'll definitely focus more on the pronunciation. That would talk more on the phonetics part of it. So this is part of the linguistic, to be more precise. I'm sure this will not bore you. I'll try and keep it very condensed so that you can get the value for your time that you are giving here. So for today, that's all that we have with respect to the articulation. We'll meet again very soon with pronunciation. And please, if you like my video, do subscribe and do watch and share. So, skill matters for all. Thank you so much.